Hello, everybody. Welcome to We Are Listening. My name is Ahmed Dents, Director of Venue Experience and Artistic Associate here at San Diego Repertory Theatre. And again, welcome to We Are Listening. This is our bi weekly online salon celebrating the lives and experiences of Black theater creatives, artists, workers, professionals, administrators. Thank you for joining me. And before we get into our guests on our show tonight, please let me welcome my co-host, La Jolla Playhouse Director of Arts Engagement in-house casting, Jacole Kitchen. What's up, Jacole?
Hey, Ahmed. Hey, everybody.
What is going on with you? How you doing today?
Doing good, doing good. Coming to you live from my new space. I'm still figuring it out. I haven't really zoomed here much, so still figuring out, this whole new setting. But this is where we're at. This is where we're at.
Nice,
How are you?
nice,
How are
nice.
you tonight?
I'm good. It's been a long day, but I'm always ready to do this. So it is all
Yes,
good. This is where we get to, get down to the get down.
as they say.
Again, everybody, thank you for joining us. If you are joining us again, welcome back. If this is your first time, thank you for being with us again. These are candid, open talks with Black theater artists, creatives, and professionals. It is like you are sitting in the living room chatting it up with us tonight. And we're going to bring on our very special guest in just a moment. But first, we want to get some announcements and stuff out the way. First of all, if you are coming into the room here on Zoom, please make sure that you have your video off and your microphone muted. Uh, Unless you want to be an impromptu guest in the show tonight. Um, and also, don't forget, you can catch the replay of all these conversations on San Diego Rep, La Jolla Playhouse, and the Old Globes YouTube pages. You can also listen to these conversations in podcast form on San Diego Repertory Theater's Spotify page and SoundCloud page. And with that being said, I'm going to turn things over to Jacole. Jacole, what's happening around over at the Playhouse?
So much. We have so much happening at the Playhouse. We are officially back and up and running. Coming up 2 weeks from now, we're coming back with our DNA new play series. We have 4 amazing plays that are going to be shown over 2 weekends, readings of new plays that are going to be shown over 2 weekends. New works by Noah Diaz, Andrew Rosendorf, Francisca de Silveira, and Lisa Sanaye Dring. So excited to bring a lot of artists who have never, playwrights and directors who have never worked on our stages before. Super excited to be welcoming these teams. A lot of local artists are going to be utilizing the DNA New Work series. So really excited that that's coming back. The first weekend is July 22nd through 25th. The second weekend is July 29th through 31st, or through August 1st, I do believe. Come join us for the DNA New Work series. I believe you are able to reserve your seats now. Space is limited, as always, for DNA. So make sure you get your tickets immediately. Especially if you work in the not-for-profit sector, you will really very much want to catch not-for-profit or the equity, diversity, and inclusion play. Let me tell you, if you have ever gone to a diversity training, you want to see the reading of this new play. Next up is we actually have a really, really exciting special guest that is going to be joining us at the Playhouse. Hassan Minhaj is joining us for the Hassan Minhaj Experiment Time. Brand new work. He's trying out new material. This is like a 3-venue kind of experience. Space is extremely limited and going fast. This is gonna, I'm even having to buy tickets, y'all, and I work there. But get your tickets. This is going to be an amazing, amazing experience. And then coming up in August at Liberty Station, we have Pop-Up Wow that is going to be featuring a lot of, again, local San Diego artists, David Reynoso, the artist from Blind Spot Collective, who our guest tonight is very familiar with, as well as folks from the Black Artist Collective are going to be creating with us. Super excited about Pop-Up Wow. That's going to be in Liberty Station August 14th and 15th. And then we're kicking off our season, y'all. We are kicking off our season with The Garden, a new play by Charlene Woodard, directed by Patricia McGregor, our very own Patricia McGregor, starring Caroline Clay and San Diego favorite Monique Gaffney. So excited to have all of this Black girl magic starting off our season at the Playhouse. What do you guys have going on over at the Rep?
Well, we got a lot of stuff happening at the Rep. Real quickly, I'll bounce over to the Globe. Everybody, I wanted you to make sure you head on over to the oldglobe.org. Of course, We Are Listening is a partnership between San Diego Repertory Theatre, La Jolla Playhouse, and the Old Globe. Please get over there and check out what they got going on. There's an evening with Eden Espinosa. You can buy tickets for that right now. You can check out their Hamlet on the radio and all the other good stuff that the Globe has going on. And here at the Rep, like Jacole said at the Playhouse, we are getting ready to come back to you. We have not announced our season yet, but we'll be getting to that very shortly. But we do have a performance that we filmed and will be available for streaming on July 26th. It is 57 Chevy, starring Rick Salinas of Culture Class by Chris Franco, directed by Herbert Seguenza and Sam Woodhouse. Again, that will be streaming July 26th through August 15th. So please get on over there and grab your tickets. Also, right now, we are streaming The Catastrophist, which is an excellent play. And in fact, tonight there will be a talk back after We Are Listening. There will be a talk back. So head on over to sdrep.org and get all your information for that. And for 57 Chevy, don't forget, head on over to La Jolla Playhouse. Check out all of the other wonderful shows that Jacole just talked about. And make sure you visit the Old Globe. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into what we do here on We Are Listening, and that is have some seriously live conversations. Really excited to talk to our guest tonight. I told her she was in for a conversation because she's going to be talking to two hip hoppers on the line tonight. So we're gonna we gonna have a live one. Please welcome our guest.
Shirt last week. I had on Peace
last week.
Hip hop. Dang.
I know. I meant to wear my Ice Cube shirt today, and it's totally the morning just totally blew it out the frame. Well, our guest tonight is an international hip hop performing artist, cultural ambassador, teaching artist, Old Globe commission playwright, and founder of Soul Kiss Theater. Everybody, please welcome to We Are Listening, Miki Vale. Come on into the room, Miki. What is going on?
Hello. There I am.
Hello, there you are.
How you doing, Miki?
I am fantastic. I'm honored to be here.
Good. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to having a great conversation with you and introducing you to those of our audience who do not know who you are and do not know about Soul Kiss Theater. So again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Now, as we always do, it's our tradition. Like I said, we always give a brief intro, but we always like our guests to kind of tell us themselves about themselves. So why don't you go ahead and give us and the audience just a little rundown, as much as you would like, about how you got into being an artist and performing arts and how we got to where we are today.
All right. Okay, I have to talk. All right. Talk about me. So I got into being an artist. I was born a poor Black child in Santa Barbara, California. But I mean, I actually was. But I grew up in Oxnard, California, which is a little city in Ventura County, and I love to write. I had teachers who really stressed writing. Shout out Miss Holyoke, my fourth grade teacher, and I wrote a lot of poetry. And that just became my thing. I just loved writing. And I grew up, I always said when I grow up, I want to be a writer. And then my oldest brother was a hip hop head. He was a DJ, and he would make mixtapes with instrumentals and, different stuff on them. So I would put very secretly, because I was a very quiet child. I'm still quiet, but I would put my my poetry over the instrumentals on his mixtapes, and just practice rapping. I was just completely immersed in hip hop, Yo-Yo, and all MC Light, Queen Latifah, all the female MCs. I wanted to be like them. So that's how I first got started. I first got started in my bedroom by myself. Nobody knew about it but me and my ancestors, basically. And then I just kept honing that skill. And then I started performing. I didn't start performing until I got to college. I went to UC Santa Barbara, and that was the first time I performed. Well, that was the first time I rapped. I was in ASB and different things, so I performed now that I'm thinking back, it was so long ago, but I did perform in different ways prior to that. But the first time I rapped was in public was at UCSB, and I just kept doing it, just kept performing and rapping, and then I got a little older and I got turned on to theater, and it was another way to write, another creative outlet, and so I just kind of dove into that.
Do you see a crossover? Do you see a crossover in your work as a hip hop artist, as a musician, and your work as a playwright, and what you do in the theater? Because within the theater, even, you have many facets of what you do. You write plays, but you're also a DJ and a sound designer. And so where do you kind of see the intersection of all of your artistry?
I see it now more as I'm writing a full-length play. I'm pulling from everything to put into this piece of work. And sound design, that came, honestly, I didn't even know what sound design was when I did sound design the first time. I was invited to DJ the Globe for All tour that they do every year in 2016. And so I brought my turntable because I had one turntable. One of my turntables had broken. So I had learned to DJ on just one turntable. So I brought my turntable, actually a CDJ turntable, into the rehearsal room. And I had all my music ready. And I remember, and Patricia McGregor was the director, and I was sitting next to Patricia. And, I'd never been in this type of environment before. This was my first time with the theater production. So I had no idea what was going on. And then I remember Patricia asking me to play a sound effect at one point in this play. It was Measure for Measure, Shakespeare's Measure for Measure. And I was thinking, a sound effect? I don't really have sound effects like that. I got music. I got songs. But and it took me about a week to realize what I was doing, that I was a sound designer, because I really thought I'm here to play music. I'm here to DJ. And someone asked me how long I had been doing sound design. And I was like, sound design? Oh, that's what they call DJing here. And then I went home and looked up sound design. I was like, oh, that's why she keeps asking me to play sounds and stuff, because I'm the sound designer. Okay, so I played music and did sound design. And then I literally learned on the job how to do it. And then I came back, I was invited back 2 years later for Globe for All again. And this time I was prepared. Now I knew, okay, I got the right equipment now. I know I got all my little sound effect banks and everything. So this time I was ready. But that's how sound design came to be. I was invited to DJ, and then I became a sound designer. But the intersection, yeah, it's for me, it's just a lot of fun putting everything together, and being kind of a baby in the theater world, because it gives me an opportunity to just keep learning and putting more tools in my toolbox. And I've been in hip hop for a lot of years, a couple decades, and interestingly, I remember I saw one of these shows, one of the We're Listening shows, one of the first ones. And I remember Ahmed and Jacob, both of you saying something about being at the BAC meeting, coming to the BAC meeting, and all these young people there. And you're feeling like were you not feeling out of place, but feeling like you don't really have that young fire anymore.
That's such thank you for putting it down. That's such a good way to put it. Because I kept getting in trouble for how I put it. I kept getting in trouble talking about we elders, and then Dia Hurst was like, "Who you call an elder?
Who you calling an elder?"
So yes, we do not have that. What did you say? That young fire?
Right.
Yes.
But when you said that, I felt that so deep, because that's how I have kind of felt with hip hop. It's like I've done a lot, and it's not to say it's a young person sport, because you can rap at any age, but it's just it feels like I don't have that same like for it. It's more like I'm gonna come and rap and pay me, and I'm gonna go home and chill with my girlfriend and my cats. I don't want to hang out all night, and So I really, that really resonated with me when you said that. It made me feel better about the way I feel about my hip hop journey. So it's cool to like kind of not go from, because I still rap, but to have something new to incorporate everything I've learned, everything I've gained from being a hip hop artist into theater.
It's a career revolution. It's beautiful. No, it did. That was perfect. Perfect.
How was that? How was that for you entering? And what were your feelings about entering into the theater world, in the way that you did? And like, well, I guess specifically, like, what was the feeling for you when entering the theater world and then realizing like, oh, I can get in here and bring what I got to this world, because obviously it ain't here that much. If they like, obviously there's a lane for me here. How did that feel for you when you finally got that realization? Like, oh yeah, I could be up in here and do this.
It's exhilarating. It was exhilarating. It was fun. I that first tour with Globe for All, I fell in love with everybody in that room. I fell in love with the process. I fell in love with the actors and how hard they worked and how organized everything was, and how people show up on time. We have hip hop time. You get there. Get there. The show starts when it starts. It might start at 8. It might start at 9. It might start at 10. So seeing all that level of organization and the hustle, when I realized like, oh, this is a hustle too. This is, I loved everything about it. And I just was a fan of everyone in the room. After that, I was going to everybody's shows, trying to see what they were doing. And I loved it. And I felt like, there is, I won't say that I just dove in on my own. There were other people involved with kind of leading me in that direction too. Shout out to Katie Haroff at the Globe. It's just giving, opening doors, and Karen Ann Daniels too, just telling me, when I'm kind of questioning myself or having imposter syndrome, being like, but you got this. You're here for a reason, and reminding me of that. So yeah.
One of my favorite things about programs like Globe for All, or some of the engagement work that we do at the Playhouse within the community, is you're working with people who either don't know or kind of don't care that these organizations are kind of a big deal. Was there a moment kind of in there working where you went, oh shit, this is like, the Old Globe's kind of a big deal. Like Patricia McGregor. Oh shit. She's like top of the field. Like, oh shit. Was there that moment, or was there the whole time? Was it just like, nah, I'm in it. I'm here.
No, there wasn't that moment until later when I was talking to somebody, maybe a year later, I was talking to someone and telling them about it. And I mentioned Patricia McGregor, and he was like, wait, so that was your first time working in theater with Patricia McGregor? So you started at the top. Did I? Okay. And I didn't even know about the Old Globe. I think I had vaguely heard about the Old Globe prior to that tour. Wasn't my first interaction with the Old Globe. I was in a playwriting workshop a few years before that was part of the Old Globe's arts engagement programming. So that was my first time hearing about the Old Globe, and I didn't know that it was a big deal. And so even after Globe for All, I knew it was fun, and I really enjoyed it, and I wanted to do it again, but I didn't know it was a big deal until time went on and hearing other people talking about what a big deal it was. And that's a really good point, Jacole, because I probably would have gone in with more intimidation if I had known what a big deal it was, but I didn't.
And you had people around you. Again, that's what I love about these programs and the work, that Patricia McGregor is at the top of her field. I mean, KA is now, Karen Ann, she's one of my good friends. She's at the Public Theater, like doing things. But in this work that we do, it's not. We're just doing the work, and are excited to bring the community in with, and we're not coming in with any pretense of the Globe or La Jolla Playhouse. I mean, and even when we try, they're like, so? Okay, so we doing the thing or aren't we? And so, yeah, there isn't that level of intimidation or like anxiety that goes along with it. People are just doing their jobs. It's one of my favorite things.
You said you were you had before with the Globe you were writing, and when you were writing, like when you first, like I know me and Jacole talk about this before because we both have been writers. I know for me when I was a kid, I used to write, and then it was like then when like hip hop came along, then I was like, oh, I can write, because now I was hearing brothers and sisters who was writing how they feel, but they was really putting it down in a different form. How did the writing come to you, and when did you was there a time when in your writing, how did your writing start? Did you start off writing a certain thing and it developed to something else? How did your penchant for writing start?
You mean from the very beginning?
Yeah.
Fourth grade, Miss Holyoke.
Oh, I love it. You can pinpoint the moment. I love it. Love it.
Fourth, fifth, and sixth grade, my teachers were just heavy into reading and writing. And I just became a total word nerd. I just love words. I was in spelling bees. Anything involving words, I was there for it. Math, science, not so much, but words was my jam right there. So I definitely give credit to Miss Holyoke. I don't know where she is today, but thank you, Miss Holyoke, because she made us write like crazy little kids. Like we had these thick books called All About Me, and they were like this thick, and we would just write all year. And and I just loved reading and writing. And like you said, hip hop came into it, and it's like I got all these words, and I became a real kind of I don't want to say a snob, but I felt like, back in that time, hip hop was about being creative. It was about being different. It was about, metaphors and how dope you could be with the words and wordplay. So I felt like I'm going to use every single one of these words that I know. And so it was just a really great outlet for me to play with words, being a word nerd, playing with words.
Yeah, I feel you so deep on that. I too am a word nerd. And there's such a word smithing involved, because for me it was spoken word. And I remember my mom says that she taught me poetry because I was just a talkative little kid. I remember just was always running around like just telling stories, making up these elaborate stories. And so my mom says she taught me poetry to hone me in a little bit. Let me teach you about rhyme. Let me teach, and so again, from fourth grade, road trips, I'm like writing poetry. But I remember, and then in high school, I would go to these poetry readings, and there was something different about what I did and what the other, and I'm in Lawrence, Kansas. And so there's something very different about what I'm presenting and what else is happening. And then I learned the term spoken word, and it just opened my life. And I was like, oh, that's what I do. Mm-hmm. But like, I feel you on the snobbery, because when you are a wordsmith, when you are a word nerd, like just regular ass rhymes aren't going to cut it. These like regular couplets, that's not going to cut it. Like, ooh, how can I make this interesting? So I feel you. Like there's even friends of mine that like I would hear some of their, their songs, their work, and I'm like, oh, well, that's really good. That's a really like, unthoughtful rhyme. That's cute. Yeah. But then it's like, nah, when you can rhyme with the middle of a sentence and just keep the flow it's just. But you mentioned, I wanted to go back because you mentioned some of the early MCs that inspired you. You talking about MC Light, Queen Latifah, who was the other one that you mentioned?
Yo-Yo.
Yo-Yo. I mean, these were female MCs. These were, they were just hitting. They were rapping about real shit. Like Ahmed's talking about, like, oh, you could talk about like the real things that are going on in your life. Wait, what? We could talk about. I feel like that's not what we have in the female MCs anymore. I feel like hip hop is sort of changed back to, and yes, it's taken back a female empowerment and body empowerment, and like, women can love sex too. But I feel like it's changed. What's your sense on kind of the modern female MC? Like, do you feel like you still have those same? And I feel you where you're like, I'm kind of tired too. Like that fight. And I wondered when you said that if part of that fire is gone, is because there isn't that like fire that was out when we were coming up.
Yeah, that's true. I know that there as an artist, I get to meet a lot of other female artists who I think are amazing, and I respect their artistry so much. On the mainstream, we don't get to see a whole lot of that.
Yeah.
But I do. You're right. Hearing if I just listen to the radio all day, I'm not going to be super inspired because it's just a different vibe. But there's artists like Rhapsody. I was listening to her this morning. Every time I hear her, I'm like, I gotta go rap because Rhapsody.
Rhapsody ain't no joke.
Yeah. So they do exist. They're just we don't get to see them all the time. But everybody check out Rhapsody. Whoever's watching.
Yes, y'all. If y'all listen to hip hop,
it's happening.
If y'all listen to hip hop, please listen to Rhapsody. She is bringing it. I want to talk to you a little bit about the founding of Soul Kiss Theater and introduce some of our watchers and listeners. If they're not familiar with Soul Kiss Theater, I'm pointing them to it right now. On the website you said that it would start off saying that I want to go back here first, that you curated spaces for queer Black women in San Diego. Can we go to that for a minute and talk to me about that experience and what just that sentence alone, that you were curating spaces for queer Black women in San Diego? Can you talk to us a little bit about what your inspiration for that was and what the need that you saw was to do that?
Yeah. So in 2007, I started throwing hip hop events for queer Black women, or for women who love women, and I put Black people on all the flyers so we knew who it was for. It wasn't just for Black women. However, and so prior to that, back maybe in 2000, 2001, my friend Naomi and I, we threw events together, hip hop events. So for a few years, we were throwing hip hop events, and then I love music. I love women, and I would go to places in Hillcrest, and the two weren't really coming together for me. It was like music that I'm not really feeling. It's a very white environment, and I just wasn't really feeling that. So I started throwing events just for people, whoever is like me, who wants to be around other Black people and likes good music. And so I called it Soul Kiss because, word nerd me, I had read this book called Soul Kiss by Shea Youngblood, and I thought Shea Youngblood was just an amazing writer. And so I used that title, and I didn't really do it I didn't want it for it to become like a full-time job, but it it took
we never
off.
do.
Yeah. It took off in the most wild way, and I realized like this was a space that was needed. It wasn't happening, and when it happened, people just flocked to it. And so I did that for several years. After about a year, after it got really big and we moved to a new location, we moved to The Flame. That's no longer there, but The Flame in Hillcrest. Mm-hmm. I brought my friend Naomi on as a 50-50 partner, and we just went balls to the wall, just doing events all the time. Just we had weekly Friday night club nights. Every Friday we had a night, and then we would do open mics, game nights, all types of things, yacht parties. It became a full-time thing, and it was fun, and and people were having a good time, and it was very Black and very beautiful, and then it was also a space to allow other artists to get on stage, because there wasn't a lot of times in San Diego. I don't know so much about now, but at that time, the hip hop spots were just sausage parties, and then they'd have all these guys on stage rapping, and just dude after dude after dude rapping. And so I opened up the stage to Black queer women who wanted to come and perform, and businesses, if they had a business, they could come and be a vendor at the events. So it's just a big Black party.
Are you still doing events? I mean, are you coming back? I know that probably COVID has shut a lot of things down, but is this something that you're hoping to restart back up?
No, we stopped in 2015 because we were just tired. It was a lot of work. It was a
Oh
lot of
yeah, it sounds like a lot of work.
work. And for me, it kind of took away, and for my partner Naomi too, it kind of took away from what we wanted to do. Like for me as an artist, I had this, mind you, it was a great job, but it was a full-time job that took away from me giving myself as much as I wanted to being an artist. And the same with Naomi. So yeah, we retired. And then I started Soul Kiss Theater because in that time, since Soul Kiss events, I would just run into people all the time who would be like, when are you bringing Soul Kiss back? We need more Soul Kiss. We need Soul Kiss events. Nobody, that space hadn't been filled since then. And so at the beginning of last year, 2020, I was kind of considering doing a Soul Kiss event, like a one-time thing. But then all that got shut down. And so I really thought that last summer, remember when we thought that everything was going to open back up in like June or July? So I thought,
Right.
Oh yeah, because the heat was going to kill the virus.
right.
Once it got hot,
Exactly.
it would be
And
fine.
so I believed it. And so I had the idea of opening the space that I have that I call the Creation Station, and having small events, having small readings and things like that, and workshops, playwriting workshops, because I just thought it would be cool to, well, let me back up. I had started doing, I was a teaching artist with the Old Globe. And so for a year I was training and teaching, doing teaching artist stuff with the Old Globe and teaching playwriting. And I wanted to be able to give that same type of vibe to my people, my folks, my soul kissers. So that's how it kind of came together. It was like, at first I was thinking there was going to be events that summer and we could do small readings and workshops. And then it just became an online, a virtual workshop thing.
How was the virtual workshop? How was that for you? Like, again, thinking you're making the shift from Soul Kiss to Soul Kiss Theater, COVID shutting down, so now you're making the shift from theater to digital. How was that experience?
It was great. It was wonderful. It was like a weekly party. So I modeled, actually, when I spoke to Katie at the Old Globe about what I was thinking of doing, Soul Kiss Theater, she said, well, why don't you use our lesson plan? And why don't we sponsor you? The Globe can sponsor you. And I was like, okay, cool. So I used pieces of the lesson plan that I had used with Arts Engagement Old Globe playwriting workshop, and kind of formulated with another teaching artist, Ariel Seiler. We kind of worked together to use pieces of all of our knowledge to create a plan that worked for our workshop. And then we did a 10-week. The first two were 10-week playwriting workshops with to write a 10-minute play. At the end, you have a 10-minute play, and then I feel like I'm just rambling going on.
No, you're great.
No, you're good. You're good.
My mind is going all these different directions. But,
well, it's filtering nicely. Like,
okay,
you're able to filter it. We're following. We're with you.
Okay, cool. So so 10-week playwriting workshop, which was modeled after what we were doing at the Globe, and at the end of 10 weeks, actors read their 10-minute plays in a reading, and it was over Zoom. Nice. And then now we're doing, for the summer, we have four playwrights who went through that process already, who are going to be part of our first in-person reading on August 31st in the plaza, Copley Plaza at the Globe.
Oh, wonderful. Congratulations.
Nice. Congrats.
But yeah, it's been great. The first one was just, I reached out to a lot of people I knew. I put the word out a little bit, told them to invite their friends, and then we ended up with 10 people who first started participating. It ended up being, I think, six finished their plays, and it was just great because we would, everybody was sad. Everybody was, we were quarantined, and so it was just a really great way to have people get together once a week. We laughed, we had fun, we talked. And then we were also creating at the same time. And for most people, it was their first time writing a play. So it was really exciting to be a part of that.
I want to ask you. Oh no, go ahead, Nicole.
I was just speaking. I thank you, because I usually I will, deflect back to you, but this is actually a good segue, because speaking of short plays that were written during and for quarantine, you also wrote one of the Walks of Life pieces that was part of La Jolla Playhouse's Digital Wow series. One of the radio plays that take you into your home. Your piece was Home Is, I believe. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Just sort of, again, that idea of creating in the time of quarantine and creating Black shit in the time of quarantine, because you were part of episode 4. Am I right?
No, I was in episode 3. I was kind of.
You were in episode 3.
Episode 4.
Episode 4 was the blackety black episode. So I stereotyped you into episode 4 because it was the blackety black. But shout out to Blind Spot. I do love Blind Spot because they incorporate voices of color into everything that they do, like deeply embed voices of color into everything they do. Okay, so you weren't in the blackety black episode, but everything we do is creating Black shit. So like, and it was still it was even episode 3 was still coming out at a time where, things were starting to get a little bit volatile. We knew that this virus was going to be with us for a lot longer. Like the social unrest was really starting to boil to a point of a bubble. Yeah, just can you kind of talk about creating in that space and for that space? I
got the call about them looking for short plays for Walks of Life, and they said, it's a peek into your neighborhood, or a peek in, inside somebody's home in a neighborhood. And I thought about my neighborhood, and I was like, I'm in Sherman Heights, kind of Grant Hill, Logan Heights area. I'm like right on the cusp, and my neighborhood is active. There's a lot going on at any time, and not everybody is housed. Not everybody lives, indoors. There's a lot of people living outdoors, and like sometimes right outside my front door. So that's what I was thinking about when coming up with a concept for that. And and honestly, actually, that particular play, I didn't write it with Black characters in mind. I kind of left it open. Usually I do, it's usually Black people, but with that one, because I feel like anybody could be living.
Sorry, I just remembered what piece it is. You're right. Oh my God, it was so beautiful. Sorry, I'm so sorry. My light bulb went off and I just remembered what the piece was. Yes, sorry, please continue. So sorry.
No worries. Yeah, but I didn't write it with, and I didn't put any race on it. So it was kind of interesting to see what the casting would be like too. Like, would there be any assumptions made about the race? But and
we actually, now that you say it, I remember us talking about that in even because we met with Blind Spot weekly just to kind of talk about progress and where are you at, what are you thinking, can we hear the things, and when they told us the concept and when we first read it, people talk a lot about colorblind casting, but it's very color conscious casting. You're aware of what you're doing regardless of what you're doing. And that was a conversation that definitely got brought up regarding that piece. Do you want to talk about what the piece was about? Because now I'm just like getting all excited about it, and others should know. Because it did have a beautiful twist at the end where you weren't really sure what was going on. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that piece was?
Yeah, it was at the height of our pandemic, and it was a couple who receive a box of items like food and masks and stuff, and the wife has feelings about it because she feels like people in the neighborhood feel like they're beneath them, and she didn't want to like take handouts, and the husband is like, it's not a big deal, let's just take it and use it, let's eat the food and wear the mask. And then at the end you see that they are homeless, that they're living in an alley, and but the neighbor who left them the box did that for everybody. They were just treating them like they were like neighbors, just like they would anybody else in the neighborhood.
Yeah, it was really, really beautiful piece. And one of the things that I loved is that as much as there was the, like, I don't want handouts, there was also the COVID aspect, like that these were people that were in need to an extent, as we, you know, those of us with that have with abundance would see those as people in need. But it was also the, I don't know who touched that, like there was the COVID of it all involved as well. Like, yes, this is free food, but I don't know where that came from. Like, I don't know who touched that. No. So there was just so many layers to it that was really exciting to watch it unveil, to listen to it unfold.
Mm-hmm. And also showing that, you know, it talks about that one of them was a teacher, and they, you know, they fell on hard times, and that's how they got into that situation. But they're brilliant people. Yeah. Because, you know, anybody that could happen to anyone. You know, I know I've been one paycheck away from being homeless at times myself, so I just wanted to shine a light on that.
And that their home was still their sanctuary. Mm-hmm. That space that they called home, we're keeping it clean. We're I don't want to clutter it up. We're you know, there was that aspect of not appearances, but this is our home. We're going to keep it nice. Like, so you wouldn't have known by the way that they talked, because that is their home. And I appreciate when you were even talking about your neighborhood and where you live, that it's just that everybody lives there. Some just don't live indoors. Mm-hmm. I appreciate really the way that you phrase that.
Yeah, no, Jacole, where you were going is right where I was going, like into the pandemic and into quarantine. And I guess my question to you, I want to get up to where we just came off of Juneteenth, and I want to talk to you about your participation in that, along with the Black Artists Collective and everything we went there. But part of my new position here at the Rep is getting ready to welcome patrons back into the space. And what I've been, having conversations with people across the country here doing the same thing, we're realizing that it's more than just at this point just welcoming people back into the space. We're actually having to take into account what has changed in people's attitudes, what has changed about what they expect to see when they come to theater, how they're going to act when they come to theater, how are they going to come to theater, and more precisely, what are they going to, want to see on stage. And I guess my question to that, to you, is that, as now we've come through this, whatever we want to call it, this, quarantine, pandemic, / add the racial reckoning that we had on top of that. As being a writer and being involved in this, is there anything that you're seeing, or what would you like to see? What kind of new stories? I know, like, for me, it's like I heard a guy say the other day, he was like, oh, well, what does the Black community expect? Or what does the LGBT community expect? But he was saying it in a way, it's like he hated that saying, because he's like, yeah, because what zip code is the Black community? Like, what zip code is that? Where do they all live at, that one community of Black people? You know what I mean? And I'm looking so forward to seeing new stories told about us, new stories to where we're able to just be human in all the ways that we are. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're expecting or want to see, or if you've seen any changes already to what you see that's, anything that you've seen that's coming on stage?
I'll take that one piece at a time. What I want to see is people feeling free to be unapologetically whoever they are. Unapologetically Black, unapologetically queer. With Soul Kids Theater, I'm teaching people and giving people tools to write plays, because I'm trading collaborators. Like, I want to work with all these people. I want us to get together and share our stories. So I want to just, and I want them to feel comfortable to not, because I know for me, even though I've been in wonderful spaces and I've learned so much over the years, sometimes being the only Black person, or one of two Black people, or one of two queer people in the room, there's a little bit of intimidation, and that's on me. That's my own PTSD or insecurity or whatever. But you kind of wonder. So I created Soul Kids Theater, so we have this space to feel safe to be absolutely yourself, and that's where you get your start. Is that your start started in a place where you could be yourself without worrying about anything whatsoever. So tell your story however you want to tell it. And that's what I want to see. I just want to see people just being unintimidated, but uninhibited. And I want to see everything Black.
Right. Well, it's funny because we were having a conversation yesterday, and it's like, for for a lot of people, for a lot of white people are entering these spaces now, and they're feeling uncomfortable, right? Because they don't know how to talk, or they don't know what to say. And I don't know why it never dawned on me like this, but someone mentioned yesterday that it was like, yeah, so now you know how it feels, how Black people have felt walking around in America all the time, of having to be, how do I move in this space? This is not my default space. This whole space belongs to somebody else. The rules and the way it's governed and what's expected is totally belongs to a group outside of me, and I have to learn all of that. It's hard enough learning who the hell I am myself, but now I have to learn all of this and how to govern, myself in this space,
All day,
so
every
now.
day.
All day, every day.
Every day of your life.
Yeah. So, I mean, so like you said, you're looking to see that. Have you seen, like, because I know during the pandemic, for me, it was like the one thing that I was thankful for the quarantine was that I got exposed to a lot of theater that I probably wouldn't have if it wasn't for that, just by virtue of everything being online and virtual. And I got exposed to a lot of different theater companies. And not only I saw a lot of theater companies, I was like, oh, y'all been doing that? How come we ain't been doing that?
Yeah.
Like, oh, y'all been doing that? For real? For years y'all been doing that? Oh, okay. Is there anything that you've seen, like, as we've gone through this little virtual journey, that you've really been, like, really impressed that you've seen other theaters do or someone else do in other parts of the country or even locally?
I have really appreciated the access to things that I wouldn't have seen usually. What have I seen? I've seen so much. My mind is almost boggled. I really like just overall being able to see these plays. Like I can't think of the name, but it was one that SD Rep did. I should know the name. It was the 69. I can't think of the name of it, but it was a few months ago, and it was just, I remember.
Was it Hype Man?
No, it wasn't Hype Man. I'm pretty sure it was SPF. Was it Year of 69 or 63 or something like that? I don't know, but it was something. I just remember feeling very honored to be able to watch this, to know that if I wasn't watching this online right now, I probably would not have seen this. And that's just been how I have felt, with everything, with access to all the classes and workshops, all these free workshops that aren't really free anymore. They're starting to charge for all these things.
Right.
But I felt like I just got just this incredible education that I would not have gotten prior to COVID. And I got it for free. I got a degree without the actual paper, just I got to learn so much. So that for me, that was really exciting. And then I saw a one woman play, Christy Wong.
Oh, yeah. I forget the exact name of. Yeah, we did that. Yes, we did. We streamed that.
I love that. And I was just so inspired by the creativity that went into it, incorporate just so many things that we just would not have thought about doing prior to the pandemic. She incorporated the audience and the chat, and she did a lot. She did call and response, even though she was on one side of the camera and the audience was on the other side, and things like that. I just really appreciated seeing all the different ways that people have thought outside the box to try to make things more entertaining.
I want to go back to one of the things you said when Ahmed asked about like what you want to see or what you want to do, and like just creating, I don't even know what the question is here, but the idea of like creating space. So for more Black art, for more queer art, what does that look like to you in terms of sort of the greater American theater? Like, how do we make space for it? How do the theaters, like, what needs to happen in order for that space to be made? What does that look like to you? Sorry. Again, once in every show, there's a question that's not a question, and this is my question that's not a question.
I think that I will start by saying I'm very new to this world. I'm a baby. I'm learning.
But that's why you're the best person to comment on it, because those of us that were like, I don't fucking know, like it's unfixable. Like, people need to get their heads out of their asses. That's how we fix it. But that's
pretty
not
much.
So I would love some helpful critique from somebody who is peering at it from a different angle.
That is literally our professional view, Miki, that people need to pull their heads out of their asses. That is what we say 50 times a day.
From what I've observed is, there's the financial aspect where people say, well, Black people don't come to the theater. They don't fill up the they don't come to the shows. And I think, and I'm just going to say from what I've seen in San Diego, I think it would be helpful if the theaters would, if they really wanted to bring Black people out or people of color to their establishments, and they are already established as being a place where mostly old white people come, or white people come. Invest in your local artists. Invest in the people who aren't coming do know. If I invest in somebody who everybody in Southeast knows, and they come and they're doing something at, let's just say, the Old Globe. They're doing something at the Old Globe. All the Southeast is gonna come see them. They may not know about some play, whatever play that the Old Globe does of somebody that they don't know. They may not even have ever heard of August Wilson. So they have this Black play by this Black playwright, and they expect Black people to come, but maybe they haven't heard of that person, but they know of Johnny from down the street, and they're going to come and see Johnny and then be like, oh, this is actually really cool. But so yeah, I think I personally, I mean, I know that people want professionals, and also there's a stigma with local, and that's one thing I've seen in hip hop. I've seen it in theater, where there's this stigma where if it's local, like, local is a bad word. If you're from here, you don't have the skill or deserve to be held to any esteem, and I don't think that's true. I think that's yes.
Yeah, no, it's so true, and it's deeply true and deeply problematic, especially with the Globe and the Playhouse. Let's be honest. On our stages, we're bringing our directors in from New York. We're bringing our designers in from New York. So they're wanting to work with other people from New York, and then it gets that caliber thing. And honestly, that's one of the reasons that in-house casting director is tacked on to my title, is to make sure that we are always considering our local artists in everything that we do, and trying to take some of that stigma away from it. But no, we've got a long way to go. I know I don't want that to feel like I'm sitting here, tooting our horn, because we got a long way to go.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's a long way to go, and it's kind of long of what you're saying, Miki. Like, there's a verse in the Bible that says, if you want to be friends, you have to show yourself friendly. And so these discussions that have been going on about, well, how do we get people in the audience? I'm like, well, we're going to have to get out of the check the box mentality. That's not going to work anymore. Like, we're going to have to get out and talk to people. We're going to have to get out and go visit people, and not looking for anything in return.
Yes.
We're going to have to first get out and go visit people without expecting them to come watch our shows, without expecting them to do something in return. We're going to have to look within ourselves. And this is the stuff we talk about all the time. Like, are we really are we culturally curious? Like, are we really? Like, are we really culturally curious? Are you really curious to what's going on in these other neighborhoods and in these other communities of people that you want to see? Do you really care? Because if you really care, then you're gonna have to go there first without expecting them to come see you. You know, if you want, you know, you're going to have to, what resources do you have that you have to offer the children and the people or the young people of, you know, of whatever you're trying to reach out to. And then the other part is, like you're saying, is like, how many people in your organization look like the people that you saying you want to come see your shows? So if your board doesn't know anybody who's Black or Latino, and they don't know anybody who's outside of their economic circle, then most likely probably your administration is going to mirror what your board looks like. And they're probably going to have somewhat of the same attitude. And then that's going to trickle down to your workforce. So that how do you expect, if the top doesn't know what's going on, how do you expect that to filter onto your stage? And if it can't filter onto your stage, how do you expect that to filter into your audience? You know what I mean? So it's just like you're saying, like we have to be, you know, at this moment, for those who are saying they want to do that. Because there's some people who ain't saying they want to do that, and they're going on.
Yeah, they're like, "Nah, we're good.
We're good." And I respect it. Okay, you're doing what you do, and you feel that. I respect that. Go handle your business. But for those who are saying you want to do that, okay, do you? Because that's going to take work, and that's going to take more work than just checking some boxes. That's going to take some organizational, you know, soul searching. You know, and it's like you said, you know, we always hear about what people don't come, or you know, or we're not going to come to that show. Well, you've put on a lot of shows that people ain't come to. And you went back to the well again and they still didn't come. So you might as well take a chance on something else. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Well, and it's so interesting too, because you think, going back to, again, the community engagement work that we do, the Globe for All, the work that is actually legit for, with, and by the community. You know, when I saw the, anyway, it doesn't matter. Those rooms get full. Yes, they're much smaller rooms that those works get presented in. They're not getting presented in the 300, 500 seat theater. They're getting presented in maybe 100 to 150, maybe if you're lucky, 200 seat auditorium. But the people who are filling those spaces are not our patrons. They're the members of the community, because they don't, like you said, they don't know who the Old Globe is. They don't care who the Old Globe is. They don't know who the Playhouse is. They don't care who the Playhouse is. But they know that there's this thing that's happening with these people that they know, or at this community center that they know to connect with good people. So they come out and they support. And they might not know what the thing is that they're supporting, but like you said, Johnny from up the street is in it, and Johnny's a good dude, so I'm gonna go and see that, you know. But we don't have the same, we have that same principle in our subscription shows, and you really hit the nail on the head. It's the bottom line. A lot of that arts engagement work doesn't have the same goal. I felt like I got kind of how you we're talking about, you got to learn how to be a sound designer, like on the job, because like, oh, this is what a sound designer does. Oh, okay, I'm gonna do that then. I can do that. I feel like that's how I was with producing, because I took the job at the Playhouse and I'm producing arts engagement, and there's not a revenue goal attached to it. So there's nobody breathing down the neck to make sure that, you know, what are you doing with audience? What are we doing? It's just like, oh no, let's just make sure we get word out there. People are gonna come. We'll just do the thing, and I just need to make sure that all the, you know, I like to swallow my hair. All the wheels are turning and things are happening. Okay, so that's producing. Oh, I can produce. Okay, I can do that. Because there's not much at stake for the organization. They're like, here's a pot of money, go do the thing. But we put a different kind of pressure on our season and our subscriptions and da-da-da-da. And Karen Ann actually led through Long Boring Grant, NCAF, the Old Globe and the Playhouse, both were recipients of this NCAF grant. And one of the workshops that KA led over the summer was catalyzing engagement. How can organizations start approaching everything they do the way that they approach their community engagement, where there isn't these stressful bottom lines, where we are willing to take chances on lesser known writers, or we're willing to put people on in the companies that are known in their communities but aren't necessarily known to our community. Okay, well, who shouldn't we be the same community? So it's really interesting, and I wonder if there will be a shift. I know that we're hoping to make that shift. We'll see what happens when we're back to real life. I think that a lot of people in our organization were deeply affected by that catalyzing engagement workshop. But again, see, this is why we need the different perspective, because you're absolutely right. Take the chance on the community, and the community will show up. You show up for the community, they'll show up for you. But like you're saying, Ahmad, when you're going into the community with your specific agenda, and I'm coming to you because I need this, and I'll do this for you, but here's what I need from you. Especially our community, we don't respond to that shit.
Yeah, we like, what? Oh, okay. All right.
No,
go on with
I'm
that.
good. I'm good doing what I'm doing.
I will say, one thing that made me that attracted me to working with the Old Globe was that when I first started with that first Globe for All, Barry did a meet and greet, also my first time doing anything like that. But I remember him saying what really stood out that he said was, we know that our patrons don't look like our community, and we want to change that. And I felt like I was just surprised to hear somebody say that. They say, like, we know that we say community and we're about the community, but the people here do not look like the community around us, and we actually do want to change that. And I really respected taking that accountability to be able to say, like, yeah, we're not doing something right, so we need to work on it, and we want to change it. So yeah, I just want to throw that out there.
You know what I love about listening to you, Miki, is kind of a message that we have been talking about here, is that, what I tell, when I get a chance to talk to young people now, it's like, there's nothing I have done in theater that I knew how to do when I started doing it. Not one job. There's not one job, not one position that I have had in these going on 20 years that I knew how to do what I was doing before I started doing it. Not one. Not what I'm doing now. Never did it.
Same.
Never did it. Like, I know Jacole, every position she's gone has been getting in there and doing it and figuring it out and improvising. And it's so funny that we're having this conversation, because that's hip hop, right? Is the improvisation, the making your own way, the having your own style, but getting the show done. You know what I mean? And I think, when we're talking about these ways of getting people into theaters, exactly what, looking at you as an example, and the things that we're preaching is that there are so many people that don't have the into this industry, but they have way more passion than some of the people who are just being just shoved into the door and given the keys into the door, and so, I know that's one thing I'm working on now as we get ready to do this, is reimagine, what we talk about all the time, the pipeline. Like, how do we find people who don't have the opportunity to have to do the internship? How do we find people who don't have the connections that just usher them in? How do we find people who have the creativity and the passion and bring them in the door so that they can see the more wide lanes that they can step into? Because I'm looking at, like, if I can get someone to come in here and be a part-time paid usher, that young person might come in here and be like, oh, there's tech heads in the box office. I can use my software skills to get in the oh, I like woodworking. And I can be a carpenter. I can be a painter. I can be a sound designer. I can be a set designer. I love clothes. I can be a costume designer. I can learn how to be a costume designer. Seriously. And that's just what I got from this conversation that we're having, is that you are like one of those people who came in and was like, oh, let me get in where I fit in. I can do this. Oh, y'all don't even know that you need me. Y'all don't even know that you need my flavor to come in here and do this thing. You know what I mean? So I just love that. I just wanted to bring attention to people who are watching to just understand that you are like the embodiment of a lot of what we have these conversations about. Like, even when we're talking to people, like when we're talking to Margot Hall and we're talking to, Ricardo Khan, these, for us who are giants, but we listen to their stories about how they had to start their own theater and how they had to get in and how they had to do it. And we're just like, oh, these are the beginnings that we talk about all the time. We look at them as these giants, but then we hear their stories. We're like, oh, it's the struggle. It's the going on. It's the being the rejected. It's the being like, oh, y'all don't want what I got. Well, I'm gonna show you what I got anyway. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's so true but it also takes somebody opening that door. It takes somebody going, you know whose flavor we need? We need Miki Vale. Who opened the door for you, Miki? Who handed you that first key to the globe?
Karen Ann Daniels and Katie Haroff.
And how did they come into your life?
I met Katie first because she had the playwriting workshop back in 2013, and two of my friends were in the workshop first, Naomi and Zakia, and then after they did it, they said told me I should do it. I was like, cool, I can write a play. It'll be fun. And so I did it, and I loved it. I just thought it was so cool. And like I said, I didn't know anything about the Old Globe. And then there were other opportunities because I was in that workshop. I got a voiceover gig, my first voiceover gig that was through being in that workshop, like Katie sending other opportunities for things that were going on. And these were things that I just they weren't in my line of sight. I wasn't thinking about doing voiceovers. I wasn't thinking about writing plays. And then Karen Ann, it was actually two very separate instances. A couple years later, I was DJing in Balboa Park, DJing an event, and Karen Ann came up and gave me her card, and she asked if I wanted to DJ Shakespeare's birthday party at the Globe. And I said, sure, cool, Shakespeare, all right, whatever. And then I did it, and it was cool. And then she was the one who invited me back to DJ Globe for All tour, where I became a sound designer. And that tour was what really opened my eyes to theater and how really transformative it is. How it was transformative for me. And what you were saying about bringing people in, and that, like I said, I'm with Soul Kids Theater. I'm training collaborators. I want, because I appreciate any opportunity that comes my way, and I also want everybody to have those opportunities. And if I can be a gateway for that, then that's what I'm going to do. So that's what, for me, that's what not what Soul Kids Theater is all about, because it's about many things, but that's a big part of what it's about, like being able to see who does stick with it, who is passionate about it, and then when it's over, who wants to do more. Because that was one thing with the workshops that I had been in, was I actually got a commission. I received a commission from one of the workshops, but one of my friends who had gone through the same workshop, I remember her saying, well, what now? And I felt so bad, and I was thinking, yeah, I wish there was more. I want there to be more for everybody. And so that's a big thing for me with Soul Kids Theater, is to, once the workshop ends, like, what more can we do here? Am I able to put you in front of these people, or can we create something ourselves? But to be able to feed that passion to keep going and to keep doing more.
I want to ask you about Juneteenth. I feel like I feel like this past Juneteenth was like a really, I really felt proud of it, because I felt like I had never seen more of an artistic focus on the Black artists in San Diego than this past Juneteenth. It seems like everybody came together to put on some really spectacular performances. There was the Rep, there was the Playhouse, the Globe, New Village Arts, Moxie, Diversionary. I'm probably forgetting the theater somewhere, but for them to come together and get behind the Black artists, for the artists to step out, I really felt like, wow, that was like the run up, the week before and the week of Juneteenth. There was like, wow, it was a really great showing for all of the Black artists in San Diego. And I think, part of what we're talking about is that exposure, right? I think all of the whole theater community was able to be like, oh, there was more here than we thought. There was more talent here that we, all across the board, singers, singers, actors, designers, costume designers. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you felt in participating in Juneteenth this year?
No, I was honored. I was really honored to be a part of that. And shout out to Joy and Rich and Zach and everyone, because I was like, wow, how did y'all pull that off? That was a lot
Yeah.
of
But they pulled it off, man.
They
pulled
did
it off.
in grand fashion. And I mean, just dealing with all those artists, I know I was hard. I was difficult to deal with. Like Joy kept emailing me, like, I need that from you, Miki. I need. I'm like, okay. And you had to deal with all these people and all these theaters, and woo, kudos. But yeah, I was
shout out
just
for sure.
really honored to be a part of that. It was amazing, especially when I saw it all unfolding. I was really in awe of the effort and the innovation and the libraries. You know, there was story time at the libraries. There were just so many different moving parts, and it was great to see.
Yeah, it was definitely cool. It really warmed my heart because it was woo. There was some birthing pains getting that thing up and going. It definitely was all around, you know. But when the week got here and the performances started, you know, rolling out and going, and just seeing everybody, you know, this whole San Diego theater community really rally around it, you know, it was really like, okay, yeah, that's, you know, that's what's up. Like, that's what it was about, was just seeing everybody shine. And, you know, and then also, you know, it brought awareness to a lot of people who weren't aware of what Juneteenth was, what the significance of it was. You know, for me, it didn't matter to make it a holiday. It don't matter. We celebrate it every year anyway. So y'all could, you like, whatever. We was going to do it anyway. So
I almost liked it better when it was just us celebrating.
Right.
I'm like, no, now y'all gonna gentrify this.
I was like, oh man, this about to be Cinco de Mayo.
Right.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what, I'm gonna be so pissed off when I see a Juneteenth sale next year. I'm gonna be hot. I'm gonna be hot when Macy's or whoever bust out with their Juneteenth sale. I'll be like, come on, man.
And then they make it an all-white sale.
Oh, that's happening. That's happening. That's already that's gonna
Somebody somewhere is having a Juneteenth all-white sale. No, I'm with you. I'm with you, Miki. Like, I kind of liked it better when it was ours. When you didn't have like white people on Facebook being like, "Happy Juneteenth." Oh yeah, Happy Juneteenth. Yeah, you too.
And we have anything to ourselves?
No. What it like? Hey, like Chobi Rap said, but you mean rap is selling? Nah, bro, rap done sold. And that was like in '89. You know.
Yeah.
Before we get ready to wrap things up, talk to us about what's coming up and what you want people to look out for, and what do you see for yourself as we get ready as we have stepped into the second half of 2021, and it looks like more live theater is getting ready to happen.
It's happening.
Yeah, we're in the second half already.
I know that one kind of messed with me too.
Yeah, I had to catch myself. I was like, as we get ready to step into we already in the second half. Never mind.
Yeah. Well, as I said earlier, Soul Kiss Theater, we'll have our first in-person reading on August 31st at the Old Globe in the Plaza at Copley Plaza, and I'm really excited about that. And for me, I'm just gonna keep hustling, keep showing up. Saying yes. I've been saying yes to a whole bunch of things that
that's right.
I wasn't planning to or wouldn't even. Honestly, I almost said no to this because I was thinking, well, what do I have to contribute to the conversation? I mean, these people are professionals, and but then I thought, you know what? Let me say yes. They asked me for a reason, so.
Glad you said yes.
If you get an email from Ahmed, Jacole, or Freedom, we don't see ourselves as professionals. We just people this is just what we do. These are the jobs we have. So we like, if we send you an email, we're like, yeah, we need to hear from that person.
Come chat with us.
Come chat with us. We need to hear from them. They got something that people need to hear. So don't. And I'm gonna tell you this, Miki, too. Just because you said that, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I've been telling everybody in this space since this last year. Whenever you get in rooms with these folks, they're not smarter than you. They're not smarter than you. They're not better than you. They just been around for a minute. Mm-hmm. They've been around and they've been in the structure for a minute, but they're not smarter than you. They're not more creative than you. And you always speak because you've never entered that room. So there's something that's never been in that room and they've never heard because they never heard it from you. So always remember that. There's something that somebody didn't hear because they didn't hear it from you. And until they hear it from you, that's an original when it comes from you. So just always remember that. Like, always remember that.
I will. Thank you. I keep telling myself that. My self-talk game has been strong these days. I have to keep reminding myself that there's a reason that I'm here, and I'm me. I'm me. These people aren't better than me. There's a starting point for everything. That I really do have to keep reminding myself. Like, I feel like in the hip hop world, I have a master's degree. You know, I've lived it, grew it, ate it, breathed it for so long. And then coming into theater, I felt very intimidated. You know, I was looking at these people, like, well, they went to school for this and I didn't go to school for this. But then I have to remind myself that everybody starts somewhere. There was a time 20, 25 years ago when I was new, you know, in the hip hop world, and I had to learn. So I have to, you know, theater has humbled me so much. This whole process has been all about humbling me, and I appreciate it. And, you know, I'm just here to learn and love.
The thing that stuck out to me when you were kind of talking about your story, and when we were talking about who gave you your first key to all of this, is the thing is, and that's why you said yes, and you kept saying yes. And for anybody who is listening to this, and anybody who is just still trying to figure out their path or thinks that they just have one path, nah, just say yes. And I love that you talked about just the world of opportunity that opened up for you the second you said yes to this playwriting thing. And the thing is, opportunity begets opportunity for people who understand an opportunity. And you talk about the collaborators that you want to work with, and you're kind of peeping for the ones who are like staying in it, and the ones who like have that certain just a little bit one-uppedness in the way that they present themselves as far as this meet. That's what people saw in you, Miki. Like, it didn't just happen to be I was in this space and then I was in another space. Nah, Katie saw you in that space and was like, yo, you've got something. You want to do this voiceover? Oh, you said yes to, there's something special. You want to do this then? And when you say yes, people go, oh, well, what? Like, even sorry, I don't want to get philosophical, but even when your friend was like, oh man, well, what's next? Like, even though it was in damn, this is over. Like, what do we do now? The phrasing, what's next? Mm-hmm. That means that's looking for the next opportunity. That's not like, damn, that's over. Wah, wah. I'm sad. I wish that didn't end. What's next? Yeah. What's that next thing that we keep doing? How do we keep growing? How do we keep learning? How do we keep doing? Mm-hmm. And I think that not enough people realize that that's how it happens. I feel like that's the only reason I'm where I am today. I didn't know that being a theater producer, director, I was gonna be a movie star. Like that's it. I was gonna be a movie star when I moved to Los Angeles at 22 and knew everything. But I just kept saying yes to things. And good God, I'm so much happier in this than I think I ever could have been. I'm happier in this hustle. I don't know. Anyway, opportunity begets opportunity. I'm glad you said yes to every opportunity that has come your way. I'm glad you said yes to this. Thank you for coming in. Because honestly, now you're on my radar in a deeper way. Like, the thing that I loved about We Are Listening is I'm getting to meet like Black artists that are in my community that I didn't know. And like, so now you'll hear from me.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. And yes, I'm going to keep saying yes. That's
for sure. Do that. Keep doing that. Everybody, her name is Miki Vale. Make sure you head on over to soulkisstheater.org and check out what's going on and read more about Miki. And make sure you follow her, y'all, because she's doing some incredible things. And yeah, you're going to definitely be hearing from me and Jacole in the future. Because like she said, there's so many people that we've, and even there's people that we've listened to. I was like, oh, I need to email him because I need to sit at that dude's feet and understand what is, what is going on there. But thank you for joining us. We hope to have you back. And a little later on, and we're figuring out, as we get ready to open up things, and this is an inside thing for people watching. We about to figure out how to take We Are Listening on the road since live theater is happening back. So we gonna have to get this thing to be live in some auditoriums. You know what I'm saying? Real quick before everybody goes, I just want to remind you to make sure that you come back and join us in a couple of weeks. Our very special guest will be Kelvin Dinkins Jr. He is an assistant dean and associate professor adjunct in theater management at the David Geffen School of Drama at Yale and a general manager of Yale Repertory Theatre. I got questions for that brother. I got all kinds of questions for that man.
That's about to be a conversation. Woo! That's about to be a conversation.
I got questions for him. I'm going to have a notepad ready. But again, Miki, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Thank you all who have been listening. Make sure you visit, again, soulkisstheater.org, sdrep.org, lajollaplayhouse.org, and theoldglobe.org for everything that is going on and coming at you. Everybody, have a great weekend. Miki, have a great weekend. Jacole, have a great weekend. I'll talk to you later on. And yeah, y'all, keep it cool and keep listening. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening.
Bye. Thank you.